Department of Zoology, Bhalerao Science College welcomes all participants who joined today's e-conference. This is time when entire world is fighting with COVID-19. Every system and organization started to restructure and rearrange itself. One has to stand upright in a flow of uncertainty where some of the ways blocked while many avenues are open. This is the right time when Department of Zoology decided to come up with an idea to explore the opportunity to focus on knowledge retention in health sciences and interventional strategy to improve the knowledge, which is clubbed with physical and mental immunity during COVID-19. Now, my humble request to our respected principal of Bhalerao Science College, Dr. Parag Nimishe, to deliver his message on this occasion. Nimishe sir.
किशोर सर लाइव येत नाही आहे. Hello Kishore sir.
Can you hear me?
Sir, just a second. Kishore sir live येत नाही आहे.
Madam, this time. चले वेळ लागते मॅडम एक. पुन्हा रिपीट करायचं सर. हो 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 हो. Department of Zoology, Bhalerao Science College welcomes all participants who joined today's e-conference. This is a time when entire world is fighting with COVID-19. Every system and organization started to restructure and rearrange itself. One has to stand upright in a flow of uncertainty where some of the ways are blocked while many avenues are open. This is the right time when Department of Zoology decided to come up with an idea to explore the opportunity to focus on knowledge retention in health sciences and interventional strategies to improve the knowledge, which is clubbed with physical and mental immunity during COVID-19. Now, my humble request to our respected principal of Bhalerao Science College, Dr. Parag Nimishe, to deliver his message on this occasion.
Thank you, Milind. Personal and public health concerns. Unfortunately, the more we claim to be educated, more are moving away from the health concerns. Today, the focus of our education is mainly on logical progress. Alone is not able of sustaining humanity for long. In the present situation, technology or the much acclaimed advanced medicals has not been of any help. Whereas simple principles of health and hygiene like social distancing are working most effectively and are being prescribed the world over. Health and hygiene education is a preventive measure which needs to be assimilated and practiced in our day-to-day life. For this, building physical strength and immunity must be at the core of educational contents, besides building mental and moral strengths. Education fraternity has to rise to the occasion for this purpose. Taking from the current pandemic situation, we have organized this international conference. I appreciate the distinguished speakers, Dr. Yuvraj Narnaware and Dr. Sangeeta for joining us. My college welcomes all the participants and appeals them to take the fullest advantage of this opportunity. I also appreciate the efforts of my college team in organizing this event. Finally, I wish every success to you all in your respective roles in this conference. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now it's time to introduce our respected resource person, Dr. Yuvraj Narnaware. It's a great privilege and honor to introduce Dr. Yuvraj Narnaware, Associate Professor, McEwan University, Canada. It's a matter of pride for us that Dr. Narnaware completed his schooling at Bhalerao High School and is alumni of Bhalerao Junior College, Saoner. He completed his bachelor and master degree in zoology at University of Nagpur. He furnished his PhD in physiology and endocrinology from University of Bath, England, December 1995. He acquired his postdoctoral research fellowship in physiology and endocrinology from the University of Hong Kong, China in 1996. In 1998, he acquired fellowship in molecular neuroendocrinology from Department of Biological Science, Alberta University. He has started his academic career as a sessional instructor at Yellowhead Tribal College in 2001, as well as he extended his academic services to various institutions. Later, he joined McEwan University as a term instructor from 2003 to 2014. He worked as a sessional extended from 2014 to 15. Currently, Dr. Narnaware working as associate professor at McEwan University, Canada. He has vast teaching experience at various institutions. He played active role in curriculum development, also distance and online learning education. He published 17 peer-reviewed publications and two non-peer-reviewed publications. He presented posters in various events. He earned various awards and scholarship awarded by American Association of Anatomists and Government of India, also by University Grant Commission India. Currently, Dr. Narnaware is member of various organizations working for anatomy and physiology. Presently, he mainly focused on scholarship of teaching and learning in human anatomy and physiology. Our resource person currently, Dr. Yuvraj, I request him to start his presentation. Mainly focused on scholarship of teaching and learning in human anatomy and physiology. Our resource person currently, Dr.
I think there is a technical glitch. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This I think there was a technical glitch in a minute. Yeah. Okay. Am I on now to start?
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Barbati sir, for a very flattering introductions. Good morning to you all. I hope you are all safe, healthy, and doing okay amid COVID-19. Before I present my presentation this morning, I especially wanted to extend my sincere gratitude to the organizing committee who actually has provided me an opportunity to attend this e-conference and address some of the research area that I have been working for all my academic life. I also wanted to especially thanks to Dr. Amita Watkar, who has actually able to connect me with you all. It's real pleasure to meet you all the faculty, and I never knew that Saoner, or the Bhalerao Science College has grown so much over the year. So speaking about the Bhalerao Science College, there's two things that actually make a lot more importance in my life as a person. I grew up in the Saoner area. My village is Perstori, which is just 4 kilometers away from the Saoner. So that's the taluka where the Bhalerao is. And also, as Barbati sir mentioned earlier, I have also finished my grade 12 from the Bhalerao Science College. So this is my open invitation that whenever I am in a Saoner area, next time to see my parents or my brother, sister, I will come and meet you all personally. And that's my promise. Okay. So thank you for the flattering introductions. Now, throughout my academic life, half of my academic life I spent in researching. And I have been very fortunate to involve in the diverse research activity. And so now, as Dr. Amita, said, like, why don't you talk a little bit about the immunology? So part of my PhD and my first postdoctoral fellowship was actually looking at the connections between the immune system and the neuroendocrine system. So I know my main focus is the teaching and the learning of the what you call the biosciences, but I will just give up some idea for all of you to start some kind of the research in the immunology and the neuroendocrinology. So what happened, everyone, is that there is a bi-directional communications between the immune system and the neuroendocrine system. So when the body is exposed to the pathogen, that's a bacteria, virus, fungi, or stress, or infection, or disease, the immune system talks to the neuroendocrine system. You must be wondering how. When the immune system senses a foreigner, it actually releases the chemical called cytokines, right? Those cytokines, once released into the blood circulation, they travel all the way down into the brain, and they release the neurotransmitter and the neuropeptide. Those neuropeptide, once they release into the circulation, they actually stimulate the immune systems. And then immune system has an enhanced ability not only to recognize the infectious agent, but the mount the immune response by increasing the phagocytosis or by increasing the antibody productions. So anyone who wants to involve in this research, this is very, very promising. So Barbate sir just mentioned that we require the enhancement of the immune system to basically deal with the number of the pathogen, including the pandemic or the coronavirus, right? And so I think scientific community, apart from looking at the vaccination, in the meantime, could also look at the immunostimulant, right? So everyone, there are a couple of things you can do. Now, the normal, what you call the histology and the histochemistry is gone. Everyone use the molecular biology technique, right? So if you wanted to stimulate the immune system, there are two ways to do. Either you introduce the neuropeptide through the brain. So when I used to work on the brain, you can introduce the various neuropeptide and the neurotransmitter into the third ventricle. And from that third ventricle, those neuropeptides then are basically released into the brain and then stimulate those neurotransmitters. Those neurotransmitters comes into the blood via portal system and stimulate the immune cells. And those immune cells then actually increase the phagocytosis, the antibody productions, as well as improve the survival rate of the animal exposed to the infectious or the disease, right? Right. Another way you can do is to isolate the immune cells from the animal, incubate them with the various doses of the hormones and neurotransmitters. You can do that in a lab. And then challenge those immunostimulated immune cells by the bacteria and see how the stimulated immune cells will actually start phagocytosing those bacteria, telling that immune enhancement can actually defend the body against the viruses and the bacteria, right? So that was something I did as a part of my first postdoctoral fellowship. But when I moved to University of Alberta in Canada in 1998 with my daughter and my wife, I actually then started working on the role of the neuropeptide in the appetite and the food intake. Did you know how much we eat and what kind of food we eat is controlled or regulated by the brain neuropeptide? You must have heard neuropeptide Y. You must have heard the galanin, orexin, ghrelin, and also GRP. There are 25 to 30 the what you call the appetite signal our brain produce, and that actually enhances the food intake. So in other words, if the communication between the brain and the gut or the digestive system fails, the person actually go on the binge eating, leading to the obesity, fatness, anorexia, and you name it. I'm going to stop here. I just wanted to give some ideas out there so you can actually start looking at those. All my life, I work on the tiny goldfish. And then when I was in Switzerland, I work on the rat. So those are the two experimental models I actually work on. Now, if you don't have the, what do you call, the molecular biology technique, simplest research in the immune system you can do is to in vitro experiment. So you pull out the fish or any animal, take out the immune cells, incubate them with the various dosages, and then challenge them with like a foreigner such as the yeast or any foreign particle, and you can measure the rate of the phagocytosis. Simple technique, nothing needed, and you can produce a quality of research. So that's something I did 2 years back at the Institute of Science under Dr. Patil. I actually presented this work, right? So everyone, unfortunately, for last 10, 15 years, I kind of moved out of the research, clinical research area, and then I started. So when I was employed at the McEwen University as an anatomy and the physiology professor, I started looking at the research. And what I found, and this is what I'm going to talk about, right? So everyone, now, whether or regardless, or whether you are doing research or you also doing the academic administration work or even the departmental work, but one thing between all of us is, or we share one common thing, is the passion for the teaching. The reason we are at the college or the university is because we have developed the passion for it, right? And so regardless of your position, everyone has to teach 1 or 2 courses too, right? And so what happened? So can I share my screen here, Barbara, sir? Okay, here. Okay, here we go. Right. So can you still hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Go on,
Yeah.
go on, please.
Okay, all right. So when I show my presentation, can you also see my presentation in without using the like a full view? Do you want to this one, or I can use the full view?
Sir, please share your screen.
Okay, share the screen. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Here we go. Okay. Well, I'm clicking on the share the screen, and so I have to get oh, here we go. Okay, all right. Now you can see me and also see my presentation, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
As a teaching faculty, even if you're doing the administration or the research, you still have to teach the classes. So as a teaching faculty, we all want our students to do a better in terms of their academic performance, in terms of their course grade, in terms of their GPA. We all want them to be fully equipped with the knowledge of our course. right? We also want them to engage in the classroom discussion as well as the participation. But above all, we actually want them to acquire the knowledge of the subject we teach. We also want them to retain that knowledge and apply that knowledge to the future classes, right? Now, I'll give a couple of examples. A chemistry student should be able to not only acquire the chemistry knowledge, but should be able to retain and apply that knowledge when working as a chemist or as a professor or designing the drug in the drug company. A zoology or a botany student should be able to acquire the knowledge of the botany and the zoology and apply that knowledge, when asked to identify a particular species of the plant or the animal. He should be able to recall the classification, the phylum, and the kingdom, and everything, right? And so, here's the problem. Now, the research in the medical science and also allied health, which include physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and also what you actually call the chiropractic. Those courses come under the biosciences. So numerous research studies in the biosciences and the allied health is reported that there's a growing concern over the loss of the knowledge in the medical and the allied health student. It is disheartening to tell you that some of the research studies have shown that the medical student lose around 50 to 70% of their first year knowledge of the anatomy, physiology, microbiology, and biochemistry in their second or third year. These students are not able to transfer the knowledge from the first year to the second, third, fourth year in their medical school, or even they struggle to apply that knowledge when actually they become full-fledged doctors, right? Now, here's the problem. Inadequate knowledge of the anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, microbiology, those are a fundamental health sciences or what you call the biosciences course that allows the doctor, chiropractor, physiotherapist to build up their foundation health. Now, can you imagine everyone, the inadequate knowledge of the human body will actually lead to the misdiagnosis of the patient, putting the life of the patient at the risk, leading to even the death of the person. So my conclusion of my introduction is that there is a bioscience problem, but I also put the slash is a life science problem. So this is not only the medical field subject, everyone. This could be your botany, zoology, biology, ichthyology, any subject of life science, you name it, and there's a problem. Now, here's the problem. Nobody have looked so far in the life sciences. So everyone, those who are wanted to get into the scholarship of the teaching and the learning, this is one of the brand new area you can actually get into. But listen, everyone, the reason we are here because we want our students to be well equipped with the knowledge we actually work hard to introduce to them. But here is the frustrating part. Did we ever wonder that, so when you finish your semester, you are so happy that, oh, my semester done, all my students got the high grade and they move on to the second year, third year, fourth year, or even finish the degree. But did we ever wonder about how much knowledge that we thought they remember and they carry and they retain and they apply in the future classes? So that means if the student learned the botany or the zoology in the first year, did we ever check how much he remembered in the second year? That is called loss of the knowledge, or we call inability to retain the knowledge and apply that knowledge to the future courses, right? And so today what I wanted to do is basically to walk you through what I have been doing in terms of the knowledge retention studies, but I took the experimental model as the anatomy as my experimental model because I teach anatomy, physiology to the physiotherapists, dental medicine, those those students who want to go into that, they take the anatomy as a prerequisite. So I teach a lot of anatomy and physiology. So now my objective this morning to talk to you and to present to you is that I want to assess the basic knowledge or the level of the knowledge acquisition in the first year. Then I want to talk about whether my anatomy students are able to retain that knowledge in the second, third, or fourth year and apply that knowledge to their actually future courses or to the patient diagnosis or the treatment, right? Now, that one thing. And then if my students are losing the knowledge, they are not able to remember the knowledge they learn in the first year, then what do we do? So we have to come up with an interventional strategy to improve their knowledge, right? And so next thing we're going to find out is that also, what intervention, how we can overcome the loss of the knowledge and try to attempt to improve that knowledge in the future. And then I wanted to look at it, what causes them not to remember, what causes them not to retain, and what causes them not to apply the knowledge of their subject, and apply to the future courses or the years. Now, everyone, this is just the anatomy. You can pick up zoology, botany, physics, chemistry, every single life science, right? So I'm going to share some of those very effective, technique to assess the knowledge level in the various years of your degree program. Okay, so first thing first. I know. So we just found out there's a real problem in a biosciences and the life sciences students to acquire the knowledge, to retain that knowledge in the second year, third year, or in their profession and apply it. So how do you assess how much they remember and how much they retain and apply? You have to come up with what you call the method of the assessment, right? And so next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through one of the most simplest method you can actually utilize to assess the knowledge of your students in the first year, and then assess the knowledge of the first year, your knowledge into the second year by using the method. Okay? So now I'm not sure how many of you have heard there's an online app which you can easily make your ID or login ID. And that ID call or that app called Kahoot. This is one of the most widely and very popular method of the knowledge assessment in the various colleges and the university in the Europe and the North America. So I'm not sure how many of you have heard about it, but this is what you call the online gaming platform. That's mean I'm going to take you up here. Look at here. So this is how the Kahoot look like. So what you do, everyone, you create the online ID, login ID for the Kahoot.com. Once you create your login and password, you can develop the multiple choice questions of your every single chapter. You can put the diagrams, you can put the figure, you can put the, what you call the multiple choice question, right? And so what you can do, now here's the good thing. Once you develop, say 10, 15 questions on your particular chapter, you tell your student, hey guys, next week, I want to test your knowledge on the chapter we learned last week, okay? And once you tell them, you go in the classroom. Now, everyone, I know, Bhalerao Science schools probably have a smart room, you have a projector, and you have Wi-Fi, right? By using the Wi-Fi, you open up your Kahoot quiz in your class. Once you open your Kahoot quiz, this is how it looks like. When you open the Kahoot quiz, it generates the PIN number. And that PIN number your student can use. Now, this is the good news. Every single student have Android or the computer. So they can also log into the kahoot.com. They don't have to create the login ID, nothing. They can open up and they put the PIN number that you generated by your account and they put it, they get all those questions in front of them, right? And then you start the game and then questions come one by one and the students are able to pick up the answer. And that is actually called the Kahoot. Okay, here's the good thing. Now, it only, so for 11 to 12 questions, I normally test my student, I only need around 5 to 7 minutes to finish the test. So it's a very fast, it doesn't waste your teaching time, and it's a very fun, full, and the enjoyable activity. And above all, as a faculty, as a prof, you get to know how much knowledge of the particular topic your student remember after 3 days, or after 1 week, or after 2 weeks, or after 1 year, right? Another thing, when the students log in, they don't have to put their real name. They can put like a Ramesh, Ramu, whatever, right? So then when they put their name, that way we don't know whose score is what. Only that student know, right? Now what I do, once I finish the Kahoot quiz in the classroom within 5 to 7 minutes, all the results immediately goes in my account, in my email. And then I can pull out the score of the whole class and find out every single student's score, guys. And then you wrap up the average and you know how much knowledge your entire class acquire on or retain on the particular topic or the particular chapter. Okay. Now, what I do also to make a fun, I actually offer the chocolates or the candies to the first 3 students who get the higher score. So it become fun, it's become enjoyable, and you actually get your purpose solved, right? So by using the Kahoot, then I actually designed the first experiment. Here we go. Now, as the table indicate here, and this is simple. So what I have is, because I teach many chapters within the human anatomy, right? So there are 11 organ systems I picked up. And what I did, by using the Kahoot, I actually deliver around 9 to 11 multiple choice questions by using the Kahoot, right? And so this one, so I have 11 questions. So those 11 questions, 9 to 11 questions for each chapter, I deliver and I collected their class average. So here is your first year knowledge. Now, oops, now everyone, when my student finish the first year anatomy, they go in the second year course, which is taught by my colleagues, which you have seen in the first slide, is my co-investigator. So she teaches, oops, so she teaches health assessment course, which is the second year course. And that course requires the recollection or recalling the knowledge of the anatomy everywhere, right? So what I do after 1 year, I go to Melanie, which is my co-investigator, and say, hey, Melanie, can you deliver those questions to my students who are actually in your class? So in other words, I get to test how much they remember anatomical knowledge after 1 year. And this is what we have. So I'm going to come back to this table, everyone, but here we go. So you can see everyone, and this is disturbing, and you should be sick worried, right? And relate this graph, to your subject if you're actually doing the teaching research. Look, overall, the percent knowledge retention in the first year is around 83%. Wow, that's quite good. Okay, so you probably know in the North America, the score is very high because students work so hard, right? So 83 is almost like a top-notch merit. So in the first year, the percent knowledge retention of the anatomy based on all those 11 organ systems around 83, that is dropped down to the 54% after 1 year, guys. In other words, they lost around 28% of the first year anatomical knowledge. Now, remember, this is just the second year. Think about the third and fourth year. So by the time, and I haven't done this one, but by the time they go in the fourth year, you can literally imagine they have no clue what they learned 4 years back. Now, can you imagine, everyone, if it's a nursing student and goes to see the patient and have no clue how to diagnose, he can literally kill a patient or put the patient at the risk. And so here's the thing. So conclusion, within 1 year, the student lose around 29% of the first year anatomical knowledge. So in other words, if they lose 28% or 29%, they still are able to retain around 71% of the knowledge, right? So they retain at least around 70%, not bad. Okay, all right. Now, so I also found that the knowledge retention, well, actually the knowledge acquisition and the retention varies from one organ system to the other. Look here, in the first year, the lymphatic system, vascular system, and the cranial system, they tend to have the highest level of the knowledge acquisition. Good news. But look, gastrointestinal, that's a digestive and urinary, right? Then musculoskeletal and also the respiratory, they actually have around 63 to 65% retention. Wow. So they are not able to acquire the enough knowledge of those organ systems. But here's the thing. So first three, lymphatic, vascular, and the cranial nerve, their knowledge acquisition is the highest in the first year. But look, when they go into the second year, they lose almost 50% of their first year knowledge. Look at here. So that's almost like a I don't know why he's doing it. 57, 46, 41. That's almost half of the first year knowledge. They lost it within 1 year. So in other words, they are not able to remember much of the knowledge of the lymphatic system, vascular system, and the cranial nerves. On the other hand, the what you call the gastrointestinal, respiratory, and the skeletal system, they actually doing better. Look, they actually only lose around 20%. So their retention is much, much better. They are able to remember the knowledge of the what you call the gastrointestinal, respiratory, as well as the musculoskeletal system, right? On the other hand, the skin, which we call the integumentary, then we have nervous and the genitourinary, they are around 80% retention and only lose around 20%, right? Now, these tables tell you a couple of things. Number one, we were wondering why some of the organ system, the student have highest knowledge acquisition, right? And not the others. Then why some of those organ systems, they have highest retention, not in others, right? And so we started wondering. Now, before I go to the further topic, I want to tell you something. Now, this is where you can design your own experiment. So if you're teaching the zoology, pick up 5 to 6 organ system and make their questions around 9 to 11 questions in the code, deliver them in the classroom and collect the data, wait for 1 year. And when your student go in a second year of the degree, get your colleague in the second year and ask them, can you deliver those questions to my students in your class? You got the experiment and you got the results there, right? And that's how you can do. And then by looking, then look at the result. And then any chapter they are losing so much knowledge, you can then develop what you call the interventional strategy. Maybe give them more practice question, maybe give them more notes, maybe give them some more kind of the assignment to improve their knowledge, guys. Okay, all right. So now here's the problem. So what we saw is that anatomy students are not able to transfer, or we call the retain, and apply the enough knowledge of the first year anatomy when they go in the second year health assessment course. So we started wondering what happened, why they lose so much knowledge in the certain organ system and not in others. And then also why they have higher score in the certain organ system and not the others. So we started looking at the impacting factor, what impacts them, right? And so next thing we wanted to show is that there's a huge list of the compounding factors that actually affect the teaching and the learning of the biosciences, anatomy, physio, micro, patho, everything. Similarly, you could also look at the factor that impact your life sciences courses, botany, zoology, theology, entomology, you name it, right? So now this is where it gets frustrated, everyone, because there's not single factor that impact the teaching and the learning of the anatomy or any life sciences courses, guys. There are huge list of the compounding factor which is out of my scope, but I'm going to walk you through. Look here. Sometimes inadequate time, not having enough time for student. So first factor, I'm going to focus on the student. Okay. So what are the factors that impact the learning of your course? In this case, anatomy. What causes them? What are the impact factors? First one, inadequate time. Sometimes the student don't have enough time to study all the 4 to 5 courses. I do not know in India how many courses or subject a full-time student takes in a year. In America, in Canada, as a full-time student, they have to take the 5 courses each semester, right? So sometimes they struggle, so they don't have enough time. That also affects their class average and also their retention, everyone. Class time. Also, if you have more time in the class with your student, of course, they are happy. You are happy because you get to more, basically pass on your information. Attendance, it depends upon if the students are missing the classes, of course they will look for. So it is very crucial. Number two, some of those students who use the textbook, they actually do better. So now I do not know, I have not been teaching in India, but I hope we're not sharing that 15 years old notes over and over, right? Anyone? Right? So like basically, so sometimes if the student just using the professor's notes, he won't touch the textbook. Everyone, using the textbook is very important because you get in-depth knowledge of your subject, right? Number two, lab experience, if they have prior lab experience, right? Prioritizing how student organize his actually the course preparation, so harder subject, he will give more time and the easier course will give less time. Previous experience, if the students have a prior background in the biology before they come in a zoology or botany, good, because they are able to remember. Self-efficacy, how they manage their time and what study skill they use. Do they use the internet? Do they use the textbook? Do they use the YouTube video? Out there, there's so much resources for the students to teach. And then final is also depend on how the student prepare themselves before coming to the class and whether they follow on the reading right after your chapter. Everything's okay here? All right. Now, what about ourselves, faculty? There are a number of the factors that also affect the faculty's delivery of the course. For example, course organization. How would you organize your course matter? How do you want to actually organize the teaching? Number two, method of the delivery. Do you want to just go walk in the classroom and just read the notes from your notes? Or you use the PowerPoint presentation, you use the technology, you use the class engagement, you use the debate or the discussion in the classroom. Number two, self-efficacy, how you actually organize your classes and also the skill you use to introduce your knowledge of your chapter to your student. Face-to-face time, how much time you spend with your student, in the classroom. And number three, this is very important, teaching style and the strategy. Do you use the technology? Do you use the YouTube video? Do you give them the sample questions? Do you actually pick up some, matching questions and divide your class into the mini groups and let them talk about it, right? I'm going to talk about it. Also, here's something, the instructor's own lack of confidence. So, I mean, I don't want to say this one, but, someone who's teaching botany and zoology for 20 years, of course, his student will do better because that person or that prof develop the passion for it, compared to someone who just joined assistant professor 2 years back. He's actually not sure, he's not confident about. So that also affects, the students' learning and the class average, everyone. And finally, how you engage your student, how you make them to learn on their own, we call active learning. So everyone, we should be focusing on the active learning. All right. So we look at the impacting factor. We also know there are some factors that actually impact the teaching and the learning of the courses or subject we do. Well, what we want to do, right? Now, before I go further, in the next 2 minutes, the two factor I personally investigated is the class time. So everyone at the McCune University in the science, health and science department, I only have 45 hours to finish the 800-page long book. Out of 45 minutes, 6 hours I spend in their midterms and the final, and I only get 26 hours to teach the entire textbook. Can you imagine? So I have to squeeze out my every single effort to finish the course, otherwise students write the bad review, right? So I found the major impact in the teaching and the learning of anatomy is actually the contact hours with the students. Second one, this is something you should remember. Class time. In fact, look, I have two anatomy classes, one at 8 o'clock and the second at 11 o'clock. If you look at the class average, in the class average of the student who had a class at 11 o'clock, they do much, much better in terms of their class average compared to 8 o'clock, right? So that's mean, I'm not sure, and this should not be issue in India because most of the classes start after 10 o'clock. But in the North America, everyone, first class start at 7:30. Can you imagine? So 7:30 in the winter is like a pahat in like India. 5:30 I start home. So I have to go get the drive, sometimes snowy condition, severe winter, minus 35, and they just miss. Look at the student, they have to leave 5:30. They take a bus, they take a train. Sometimes they miss the train and they are late for the class. And when they come in the class, they either are tired because they've been studying for the night before. So when they come, they actually are so tired. And I have to tell you, when I teach, sometimes I have 80 students, right? And when I'm teaching, I can see there's one guy is likely snoring on my first table. He's snoring and he's sleeping in my class. And then, so that's when he's tired and he's not able to focus. So class timing also matters, right? Now in the North America, in the medical school, they actually pushing all the classes after 10 o'clock. So that students don't have to miss the class and also don't have to miss the information. All right, so we done the impacting factor. Here we go. We know there is a problem in the biosciences, in the life sciences, medical sciences, and the allied health sciences. What do you want to do? We know there's a potential gap in the learning. There's a potential gap in retaining the knowledge and applying the knowledge to the future courses. What you want to do, how do you want to overcome those is basically the gap. And for that one, I have developed the interventional strategy. So I'm about to get it done, everyone. So now I have incorporated 3 important interventional strategies to improve the knowledge acquisition, retention, and the application of the anatomical knowledge. You can also use those interventional strategies to improve the knowledge of your student in terms of the retention and the application. So first one, we have a virtual human cadaver. I have a anatomy exams, and then I have in-class and the online activities. So first thing first, I am very lucky. I have to tell you, I have been very fortunate that my department actually bought what we actually call the most advanced, the cutting edge, and the modern teaching technology we call 3-dimensional virtual human cadaver. So this is actually called 3-dimensional virtual human cadaver, and we call it Anatomas table. Okay, and you can actually see right here, I am here, and this is the virtual table we call Anatomas. So and those are some of my students and also some of the students from the other universities coming and looking at this table. This table is a miracle. It cost me 120,000 US dollar, which is like 70 lakhs rupees or 80 lakhs rupees. But what these tables do is, number one, it actually, so what they have done, they have picked up the actual images of the cadaver, like a human dead body, and they transform into the 3D images. You can increase or decrease the size of the image, everyone. You can pull out every single bone and you can run X-ray, MRI, CT scan, and ultrasound. You can actually pull out every single bone and rotate 360 degrees. to understand the structure and the function. I can pull out every single bone. I can pull out 700 plus muscle one by one and can tell you which muscle causes you to laugh, which muscle causes to the smile, which muscles cause you to make a cranky faces. I can tell you, right? Also, do you know, oh, here we go. Do you know, I can also trace the blood flow through the entire body. You can see the blood going through your body. So you can trace the blood flow and identify the entire vascular system, guys. I also cut the section to the brain and identify the areas that actually regulate your cognition, your comprehension, your memory, your retention, your language, and etc. So by using the virtual human cadaver, you can actually see the class average was significantly higher in the student that were taught with the help of the anatomage in all three exam and the final, right? Also, use of the anatomage or the three virtual dimension also increase their GPA substantially. Look at your significant. So conclusion is, what is the advantage of the virtual human cadaver? Number one, it actually provides the real perception of the human body because the actual images are taken out of the human body. It also provided the active learning environment because look here, all my students are gathering around the table. They talk to each other. They pull out the muscle and say, hey, can you name this muscle? They pull out the blood vessel and say, hey, can you name this blood vessel? So they're not only exploring the anatomy, but they talk to each other. And when they talk to each other, look at here, they actually able to develop the social and the communication skill. They develop the anatomy terminology, and they also, now here go, they also, and the research has shown it also actually alter your cognition. The cognition is the process of the remembering, applying, and the comprehension. So they actually are better. And number one here, by looking at the images, they can also recall the knowledge from the figure, right? So those are the some of the advantages. Now, I don't want to use this virtual human cadaver in the Saoner, but you can use the YouTube, you can use the computer software, and there are lots of programs for your zoology, botany, or the courses too. Next one. Okay, now, because the anatomy, botany, and the zoology are, zoology are the visual science. What does that mean? They actually are comprised of many body images, whether it's a plant images, it's a animal images, or it's a human body images, right? And because it's a visual science, it actually provides some of those important what you call the advantage. It actually increases the visualization. Did you know if you make the exam and include the figures in your exam, the moment the students see the exam and the figure, and if they know the figure, their exam stress and anxiety just drop down by 90%. So using the images of your subjects can actually reduce the exam anxiety and the strain the students. It also helps you to alter your cognitive load, right? So you are better to remember and comprehend. And number four, it also helps to recall the knowledge. So guys, if you put the one animal diagram in your zoology exam, the moment that that diagram student sees, he said, oh, I know. So he starts recalling the knowledge because he's been studying for the diagram, you see? And the last one, sometimes just having the figure also help you to recall or provide you the hint to answer, you see? So those are the some of the advantages. So here we go. Now, research, data. So the class average was significantly higher in the anatomy exam that has the more images. So exam number 1 and exam number 2, I put many more images compared to the anatomy exam with the less images. And you can find the more images having in your exam improve their class average significantly, guys. Okay, so everything you remember that it might take some time, everyone, for you, but put the figures in your exam. Now there's a technology, you can pull out those figures, you can name those figures, and put in exam. So inclusion of the images in the exam reduce the anxiety, stress, the cognition load, help you to recall the knowledge, and provide you the hint to the answer. Okay. Now, second thing, also the percent scoring of the individual questions. So percent scoring of the individual question based on the images also increase the class average compared to the percent score of the individual question without images. So these two diagrams basically prove that the inclusion of the images can improve the class average significantly and help the student to give the hint for the answer, recall the knowledge, and reduce the exam stress. Okay, all right. So those are the sort. Last but not least, here is the something everyone you can do out there by using the number of the online and the in-class activities. You can also improve the understanding and the knowledge level of your students. So number two, what I did is I use what you call the online activity. As I told you earlier, I only have 26 hours to teach students face-to-face. So what I do, I put a lot of my, the subject matter or the course material on online. Now, I'm not sure in India if they use the Blackboard or the Moodle. This is the excellent online platform. You can put all your course material where student can actually see and open it. I put lots of what you call assignment. I put a lot of sample questions on every chapter I teach. And I also put lots of figure for them to practice. Okay? And also I put a lot of practice, right? When I am in the class in front of the student, look, every chapter I teach, I develop 9 to 11 questions right away, one day before. And when I finish that topic, I deliver the code right into the class, right? Number one. Number two, also, when I finish the chapter, I make the sample quiz, 15, 20 questions, and put them, give them the written exam in the classroom. Okay. Sometimes, if I'm teaching the cardiovascular system, I divide my whole class into the groups and tell them, hey guys, let's talk about what happened to your heart when you have heart attack and the stroke. Students get together and they talk to each other, right? And that actually very important because they develop the communication, they develop the critical thinking, and they also enhances their social and the communication skill. And also sometimes I just pull out the matching question and ask them to, hey guys, match those questions. All those activities are very important, guys, because it actually stimulates their interest, so they are not bored at all, right? And this is what happens. Look, so exposure of the student to the online and the in-class activity significantly improve or increase their class average from 65 to almost 88 to 90% in all three exams, including the final. This is also resulted into the significant improvement of their GPA, grade point average, right? So everyone, I know I took a long time. So here's the advantage. Number one, by using the online and in-class activity, you can see it improves their class performance. It actually helps them to gain the communication and the social skill. It promotes the active learner. And this is where, as an Indian professor, we have to make students self-reliant. We have to make them to learn something on their own, because what we do in India is basically passive learning. You just pass on your knowledge to the student and you never bother whether they learn on their own. So we have to make them some independent kind of the learner too, right? Promote the active learning. It also improves the class attendance. When you do fun, they actually love you and your classes. And number three, it also helps the critical thinking. And at the end, it also helps them to retain the knowledge of that particular topic or subject for very, very long. So I haven't done, the studies are in progress for the third year and fourth year and completion. And after that one, I'll be finishing this project, right? So in the conclusion, what I'm saying is that there's a need for, as a faculty, teaching faculty, to switch your teaching from didactic, passive learning to the student center and the evidence-based. You have to try something as evidence and see if that actually worked for the student. And that actually helped. What I said earlier is the student engagement, knowledge retention, social communication skill, critical thinking, and also reduce their anxiety. You don't want your student to be stressed out when they come in your class. You don't want them to be very, very anxious about your exam. Make it simple, try them to basically relax. And when they relax, they can actually remember a lot more things than you even would imagine, right? So with this one, everyone, I wanted to personally thank you to Barbara sir, Dr. Amita Watkar, Dr. Dongare is here. I'm going to see her again on the 27th on the next session. And thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to personally meet you virtually and also interact with you. And here is some of my information here. And anybody who wants to even do the immune system research or get into the teaching and the scholarly research, I am there, and we can develop some kind of the interdisciplinary research. So thank you so much for your time and your kind attention, and have a wonderful day. And I will be very happy to answer any questions you may have, or you can write those questions to me, and I'll do my best to clarify those. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a wonderful session. So there are some questions for you. I am asking on behalf of some participants. First question goes from Professor Kishore Patil from Amravati. His question is, why there should not be the uniform educational policy throughout the nation for this pandemic period or even for further duration?
Good questions from Dr. Patil. I have been, I have acquaintances with Dr. Patil, and this is wonderful questions. Now, here is the problem. The universal educational policy is the basically most complex process in terms of, because even in Canada, every single university have their own course outline and their course delivery, right? Also, the government, like an education department in Canada and US, they also have their own unique way of delivering the certain courses too. But at the same time, even if they have a slightly difference in delivering those courses, but due to the pandemic, every single university, at least around the world, is actually going on the online teaching. Right, so that might probably bring some kind of the universality in terms of the delivering your courses onto the online, and during this what you call the unprecedented time that everyone is actually going through. So that might probably be some kind of universality in terms of delivering your online, and this I'm not able to hear if someone is asking me questions. It is not clear.
Okay, sir. The next question is from Chandrasekhar Potode. His question is, how we can build a better environment for life science students to study through this way, mainly related to practicals.
Related to the practicals? Did you say related to practical? Dr. Amita, can you repeat the questions, please? Dr. Amita, can you repeat the questions, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
How can we build a better environment for life science students to study through this way, mainly related to practicals?
So, as I mentioned earlier, the lot of students actually come up with some prior lab experience when they register in the Bachelor of Science in Biology, Chemistry, or anything, right? But at the same time, it is very crucial to have the lab in your degree program, because the lab actually give them hands-on experience in actually teaching and the learning of their courses too. Unfortunately, at my university, only nursing is the only branch that we don't have the lab, but because we bought that virtual human cadaver, and that basically replaced the entire anatomy lab, right? But in India, it is also very important as an academician and also as a teaching faculty. It is very crucial to have a lab for every single course, not only botany zoology, but also any other life sciences, because the purpose we are all sharing this session is because we wanted to make our student well equipped with the knowledge, right? But at the same time, the lab is something the students actually become active learner, because they explore their science, and they actually learn the evidence-based knowledge based on the labs too. So I would recommend that having the lab is important. Now in Canada, if one university do not have lab, so for example, I want to see the human body, right? So my wife is a surgeon. So when I want to see actually human body, I just chase her. I said, honey, can you get a permission for me? And I go. But my student, I actually send them to the nearest hospital where they actually use the actual human body for teaching the anatomy, right? So labs are very crucial, and I would highly recommend that even any course you teach, try to develop the lab that actually give them hands-on experience.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're very welcome, Dr. Amita.
Thank you so much, sir. Today, my words are not enough to express the gratitude. On behalf of our college, I would like to thank our eminent speaker, Dr. Yuvraj Narnaware, sir, from Canada, who graced us with his thought-provoking presentation. Set a perfect platform for all of us. Thank you very much, sir.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Now, I would like to introduce our next resource person. Today, our second resource person for this event is Dr. Sangeeta Dongare ma'am. She is Assistant Professor in Zoology at Government Vidarbha Institute of Science and Humanities, Amravati. She is working in this institute since last 20 years and has 17 years of research experience. She has got fellowship and membership of various national and international societies. She is recipient of number of awards, out of which I would like to mention few. Young Scientist Award in the year 2015 at Kolkata, Eminent Young Scientist Award in the year 2016 at New Delhi, Best Researcher and Academician Award in the year 2017 in Mauritius, Environmental Biologist of the year 2017 at Kolkata, Best Women Faculty Award in 2018 in Tamil Nadu. These are few. There are many more which due to time limitations cannot be mentioned here. Such a versatile and eminent speaker is with all of us today. Her today's topic of presentation is health and education. I, on behalf of all, invite ma'am for her presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, ma'am, for a nice introduction of myself. Respected keynote speaker, Raj Narnaware sir, Dr. Principal of our college, that is Bhalerao Science College, Saoner, PK Nimse sir, the convener of this international conference, Dr. Anita Bhatta ma'am, the head of the department, Dr. Barbate sir, and all the dear delegates. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizer, the Bhalerao Science College, Saoner, for giving me an opportunity to share a few words regarding the present situation that we all are facing regarding the pandemic that is there. So I'm really thankful, and I'm going to start with those two important aspects that is related to the pandemic, that is concerned with the health as well as the immunity. Allow me to share the screen, ma'am, please. Allow me to share the screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So can I audible? I'm audible, ma'am? Okay. So good morning, everybody, for the International Conference on Health and Education, the Challenges in Pandemic Situation. Friends, as we know that we all are there in a very stressful situation at present, uh, that is regarding the pandemic and the different type of the mental illness and the physical illness that we are going to face in this sort of the pandemic. So myself, Dr. Sangeeta, I am Assistant Professor from Department of Zoology, Government Vidarbha Institute of Science and Humanities. And the topic of our presentation is health and education challenges in pandemic situation. So let us see what is first of all the pandemic. See, so the word pandemic, it has been originated from the Greek, and it means pan means all and demos means the people. So the the word is commonly taken to refer the widespread of the epidemic of the contagious disease throughout the world or the country or the continent that we are facing at present. So this pandemic are for most of the disease outbreak that become widespread as a result of the spread of human to human infection. So there have been many significant disease outbreak that has been taken place, and the pandemic recorded in the history included many of them. So some of them which are there that we call it as the Spanish flu, the Hong Kong flu, the SARS, the H7N9, the Ebola, the Zika. So these are few of the pandemic that has been taken place earlier. The pandemic, when it occurs, so it is related or it is associated with enormous negative impact on the health, economy, the society, and security of the nation and the global community. So, as well as it has a significant impact on the political as well as the social disturbance. So whatever pandemics that has been taking place, that has been taken place earlier, it has a rather great impact on all the aspects of the life. So when we see the history of this pandemic disease, we have came to know that these has been recorded in the human history, and it has really a great list of these pandemic it is there. So smallpox are there, cholera is there, plague is there, dengue, AIDS, influenza, several acute respiratory syndromes are there. So all these are the historic background that we can get. That whatever these pandemic it has been taken place, it struck near about many a time in the century. So 1500 centuries when you see, so roughly in every 10 to 15 years, we can see that this influenza pandemic, it is coming and it is affecting many of the nations. So in the 20th century, there were three influenza pandemic that has been named as the Spanish flu in 1918s and 19s, the Asian flu in 1957 and 58, and the Hong Kong flu that is 1968 and 19. So each of this pandemic that has been taken place, so it has harmed our life and the economic development. So these influence of this pandemic that we have seen that many of the lives it has been actually killed due to this 20 millions of the people all over the world when the pandemic took place, and it is really very drastic effect that we can see. Now, again, recently, what sort of the pandemics that has been taken place? So, recent year it has shown that at least 6 of the large-scale outbreaks it was there. That is, everybody you might be known regarding the Nita virus, then the pulmonary syndrome, the severe acute respiratory syndrome, the H5N1 influenza, H1N1 influenza, Middle East respiratory syndrome, the Ebola, the virus disease, epidemic. So these are the few that has been taken place in a recent years, and now what we are there in. So this we call it as the COVID-19, and it has the impact on all the aspects of our life. So this pandemic, whenever it took place, so since 1918 to 1919 up till now, we have seen that it has major impact due to its infectiousness. The infectious disease outbreak can easily cross the border to threat the economy and regional stability. So whatever the countries those who are facing such sort of this pandemic, so they have a threat to all aspects of the economy and social fabric. So when we have recently seen that in 2013 to 2015, the Ebola is there. So this Ebola, it also had caused many of the families it has been disturbed, and many of the lives it has been taken. Now we are facing now at present the coronavirus pandemic. Now this coronavirus pandemic has swept globally, and it has actually contending the personal and the professional lives of millions of the people, including the students, the educators, and the educational researchers. So at all levels of education, the instructors, the institutional leaders, and the policymakers, they are all facing the challenge, trying to ensure that high quality and equitable teaching learning continues under these rapid changing and unpredictable conditions. We have seen that how that's he has very well explained that what are the different type of the software and different type of the online instruments and the apps that we can put in our teaching learning process, because we cannot stop the continuous process of teaching learning and the development of the key domain of the students that is concerned with the mental, and now we can able to develop that domain. So when we are talking about the impact of this, so it has an impact, the coronavirus impact on the very important aspect of life that is concerned with your mental health. So when you see this present graphical representation. So you can see that the pandemic of the corona, it has a very negative mental impact, where the women, 36% of the women, they have been infected in 11 to 15 March, the period it has been given. And when you see just within 10 days, that is March 25th to March 30, you can see that within 10 days only you can see the stress level due to this pandemic, it has been raised. So here you can see 36%. Earlier it was mentioned in 11 to 15 2020, and now you can see within the span of 25 to 30 March, it has been raised to 53%. So this mental health, it has been actually stressed due to this coronavirus and the pandemic effect that you can see. Not only in case of the women, but in case of the men also, you can see that 27% was there, and after 10 days, you can see it has been raised to 37%. So the parents and the children under age 18, you can see that again there is a raise in the mental what we call the health, that has the impact from the coronavirus. So these are the graphical representations that you can see that how the mental health of the people it has been disturbed and it has been stressed due to the coronavirus, and it has a very negative impact on the mental health. So what is this COVID-19? So coronavirus 19 it is an infectious type of the disease that is caused by the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 SARS-CoV-2. And this disease it has been first identified in December 2019 in Wuhan, the capital of the China's Zhubri province, and it has since spread globally. And this ongoing corona pandemic, it has been first noted on the 2nd of May 2020, and near about 3.34 millions of the cases, or more it has been reported now. And near about 187 countries and the territories has been affected. And now we can see the death rate due to this pandemic, again it has been raised. But a very sound and a good sign is that the recovery rate it has been increased, not only at a global level, but here also when we see the present status regarding the pandemic effect in India, we have seen yesterday only I have seen that 47.5% the recovery rate it has been raised. So that is a good sign. Now, what if this coronavirus, it has its own diversity. So coronavirus, these are a group of highly diverse in the positive sense, single-stranded RNA viruses are there, and that belong to two subfamilies that we call it as the coronavirinae and the coronavirinae. And in these families of this coronavirinae, there are these viruses were first discovered in 1960s. So when we are talking about the coronavirus, it has its four main genera, and these four main genera are the alpha coronavirus, the beta coronavirus, the gamma coronavirus, and the delta coronavirus. So when we talk regarding the phylogenetic relationship and the genomic structure among these four genera, so we have came to know that the alpha and the beta coronavirus are the primary causative agents that actually affects the respiratory and the intestinal infection in case of the mammals. Whereas the gamma and the delta coronavirus, it has its impact on the another animals that is regarding to the bones. So when in case of human, when we are talking regarding this coronavirus, so it has near about seven strains of coronavirus that are known to infect in case of the human beings. And recently we have identified the SARS-CoV-2. But earlier there was the human coronavirus 229E, then CoV 229E, then OC43, then NL63, the HKU1. So these are the different type of the seven strains that has infected the human beings. And recently the SARS-CoV, the first one, then MERS-CoV, then they are transmitted, and whatever transmitted through the bat. And currently we have collected the sequences regarding the database of this, and we have came to know that they have an origin. So this coronavirus, it has an origin that SARS-CoV is there, MERS-CoV is there, then HCoV, then NL63, HCoV 229, and the SARS-CoV-2. So all this has a sequence that whatever earlier symptoms that you have seen, in case of this, they are not that much lethal. But the present one that we are seeing today, that is SARS-CoV-2, it has a lethal effect. And this is really very threatening for the human health. Now, we have seen that how the process of transmission it takes place when this virus it is there. So the main transmission route of SARS-CoV is via the aerosol droplets, and the other possible transmission routes such as the direct contact or the oral way. And that again one of the transmission way, that is mother to the child transmission, it has been proposed. But recently whatever studies that we have seen from the ICMR, So we came to know that this mother to the child transmission, though the mother she is positive, but whatever when she gives birth to the child, so at that time the child it is not infected. It is a negative one for this COVID-19. So this again we require a greater research point of view, and the young coming researchers they can take participation regarding the transmission point of view from mother to the child. Then another are the retrospective studies that at the beginning we have seen the report regarding the pandemic and its incubation period. So this SARS-CoV-2 approximately it has 5 to 14 days of its incubation, but now it has been reported that the period it has been long, so near about 24 days. So the thing is that this virus itself has a lots of mutation, and due to this mutality we have seen the different type of the symptoms that has been raised due to this virus, and this has overall impact on the different aspects. So let us see regarding the health. So health, it is the most basic human right, and it is a state of overall social, emotional, physical, spiritual, and the cultural well-being. So it is reflects of our economic status and our environment. At present, we know that our GDP of India and at global level, we are facing the problem of the different economic crisis. Not only the underdeveloped countries, but the developed countries, they are also going through this crisis of the economy and the different type of the things that is related to it. So health is therefore one of the most important indicator for the sustainable development, and it is a well-known fact that this health can be regained by using the different type of the innate responses that our body gives. So there are free radicals which are present in the body, and the byproduct of this oxygen burning in the body during normal metabolism. So the food that we are eating, so it should have a very high nutritive value, and it should boost our immune system. So for that reason only, we are using a very high nutritive type of the food which are actually boosting our immune system. Now these free radicals when they are present in the body, so they have a harmful effect to the cells, and they contribute to many of the processes, the aging processes. They even causes many of the degenerative disease that is caused due to the free radicals which is present in the body, and they are really very sensitive, and they disturb the very important aspect of a cell that is concerned with the DNA and its membrane. So the different type of the collagen and the different type of the uh, cell, different type of the organs and the different type of the indispensable type of the enzymes that is caused due to the deterioration of these free radicals which is there in the body. So these are the things that we can see in case of the health aspect. Now the health itself is affected. So this pandemic it has shown many of the illness, serious widespread illnesses are there that has been registered earlier at the global level. So for this only we have to build our own immune system, and this immune system is nothing but it is the ability of the body to defend itself against the disease-causing organism. We know that there are different type of the organisms which cause the different sort of the disease that is concerned with the bacteria, the viruses, the different type sort of the protozoans. So all of these they are considered as the vectors or they are considered as the pathogen for causing the different type of the disease. So every day our body comes in contact with several sort of the pathogen, but only few results into a disease. So the reason is our body it has the ability to release these antibodies against this pathogen, and it protects the body against different sort of the disease. So we have our own immune system. So this immune system it will help us to defend from different sort of the diseases, that has been caused due to different type of the pathogens, the viruses, the bacteria, or the another sort of the vectors that is entering into our body. So this immune systems, when we are talking about, so it has lots of discoveries, because these discoveries are really a boom for us for developing the present vaccination regarding the COVID-19, because all the globe at once, they are all working in this aspect so that the vaccination regarding the SARS-CoV-2 it should be invented. So let us see. In 1796, Edward Jenner, he was the first one who has actually created the first vaccine, and this first vaccine it has been lesioned and successfully immunized for the purpose of the smallpox. Later on, many of them they have shown the different type of the invention in the field of the immunology. And in 1854, again we can say that Florence Nightingale has demanded the hospital for cleaning purpose, because we know that different microbes they cause the different sort of the disease. So the uh, cleansing the that aspect is also one of the important. The different sort of the hygiene is also important. So in this regard, he has actually recommended the army men. And then again in 1864, the Louis Pasteur he has shown that these are the different type of the microorganisms which cause the different sort of the diseases. Later on, when these microorganisms has been invented in 1882, Robert Koch he showed that these are all the different type of the infectious disease that is caused due to the pathogen. And to work on this pathogen, then Alexander Fleming in 1928 he made the first antibiotics, and that is the penicillin. So this history, these discoveries that has been done in case of the immunology are really revealing. Now, what are the component of this immune system? So our immune system it has a different components which aggregate together to defend against the different sort of the pathogens. So our immune system is composed of different type of the cells, as sir has already told you that these different type of the cells they produce different type of the chemical messengers, and those messengers they are actually taken to the brain, and from the brain it produces different type of the antibodies and the different type of the cytokines, and these all help us to build the immune system. So our immune system is composed of the cells, the tissues, the organs. They work together to protect our body, and it defends the human body from transferring the different type of the pathogen in varieties of the ways. So we have near about 18 to 20 types of the immune cells in our body, which actually originate from the stem cells. So originates the stem cell. So during the embryonic condition, only the stem cell it shows the proliferation, and due to this proliferation only you can see the different type of the specific and non-specific cells which are produced, like in the form of the WBCs are there, the nature cells are there, the NCPs are there, the myeloids are there, the different type of the plasma cells are there, the different type of the B cells, the H cells, the helper cells. So all of these cells they have been originated due to the in the embryonic stage only in the bone marrow, and we know all the process. So all these cells they work in coordinates with one another, and the activation and the deactivation of these cells it takes place according to the invasion of the pathogen. Different type of the organs are also there. So these organs are in the form of the lymphoids are there, the tonsils are there, then the thymus it is there, the spleen is there. And so all of this they have contribution in our immune system. So when we are talking about the COVID-19, so here we can see that it works in two forms of the defense system, that we call it as the innate immunity, and second we call it as the adaptive immunity. So in any of the case, our body it has a first line of defense, and that first line of defense is due to the secretion of different type of the mucus that is secreted by the skin. That is the first response to the invagination of the pathogen when it enters into the body. So when we are talking about the COVID-19, the innate immunity is the first line of defense against this virus invagination, and the viral infection of mammal activate, and then the intracellular pattern recognition it takes place at the receptors level, because different type of the cells are there which will get activated, and they will receive that this sort of the pathogen it has entered into the body. So sensing of this pathogen it will be done. Then association of this molecule pattern it will be there, and such a double-stranded RNA get uncapped and mRNA is there formed. The recognition of the pathogen, association of the molecule pattern results in subsequent cytolytic immune responses, and mainly through the type of the interferon IF1 and the natural killer cells. So, in case of the defense system, the first line of defense which is there in our body, so they all will get activate. The different type of the cells they get activate as soon as the virus when it enters into the body, and it shows the inflammatory reactions to that. Then the another we call it as the adaptive immunity. Now it also plays an important part when the viral clearance is there via activated cytotoxic T cells that destroy this virus infected cells, and the antibodies producing the B cells that target the virus specific antigens. So in case of the COVID-19, especially those with a severe pneumonia, they have reported a sustained availability of the lymphocytes, and the count of this lymphocyte CD4 cells, CD8 cells, and the different type of the natural killer cells. So they have shown the declination in the number, because when the person is infected with the disease. So we count it as being these are the major causes for the chronic disease that is there. So we can see the different type of the disease that is really concerned with these cells association, and it is associated with the free radical form of food. So such Alzheimer disease is there, sclerosis is there, cancer is there, hepatitis is there. So these are the another sort of the chronic disease that we can see, and dynamic equilibrium it should be there. That in case of the human body between these factors that promotes the different type of the disease, and the antioxidant defense mechanism that inhibits this process. A wide range of the food products are available, which has a large amount of anti toxins, and these consumption of this will really boost up the natural defense system of the human body. And these are the different type of the antioxidants, which are the protective agents in our body. So these are generally the isoflavin, the carotenoids, the ascorbic acid, because we say that the citrus fruit it should be consumed because it has a major role to play in the immune system. So so many of them are there, which has a vital role to play. So this pandemic, as it has its impact on the health, and we have seen that how it has shown the health immune system has been disturbed due to the COVID-19. So it has effect on the educational system worldwide. So this pandemic has an educational system worldwide that we have seen due to the closure of the schools and universities. According to the data that we have seen in case of the UNESCO of March 25th, 2020, and it has shown that due to the COVID-19, the near about not only 165 countries but 187 countries, it has been affected, and it shows the closure of it. So COVID-19 has driven the school closures, and it has impact over 1 billion of the students in near about 150 or more in the countries. So this number it has increased rapidly from February up till the March, and despite of this only, despite of this infectious disease is there, so it has impact on the children. So for that reason only, to maintain the social distancing, the tool to mitigate this spread of the disease, the closure of these schools or the educational institution it has been there. So there we can see that the do as to control the mortality rate. We have the different type of the education around the world. They are experiencing these things, and they have put significant closure of this due to this. So the impact of this higher education, when you see in case of India, especially I'm going to talk regarding India. So the structure that is concerned with the higher education, we know that it is divided into the three higher education sectors are there that impart the education in formal education way, the technical professional education, the skill development, and the vocational training course. So at present, we know that near about 1432400 students they have been enrolled in India, and due to this COVID-19, the closure of this educational institution, these students they are actually disturbed. Uh, um, as they are in the mainstream of their education part, and now they are facing this problem. So this we can see that how the higher education, the three-tiered higher education system that is there in India. So the first, the foundational institution is there. So this foundational institution which offers a wide range of courses and at providing a well-rounded and holistic education to Indian masses and imparting skill that are relevant to the local industry and the community level. So due to this COVID-19, we have seen that the foundation courses that we are running, so it has been disturbed. And the offline processes of education imparting it has been closed, and now at some range we are using the online system so that whatever the courses that has been left due to this closure we can continue it. Then the another system is concerned with the institution. They are offering the technical and the professional courses with focus on producing the industry ready graduates. So here also we have came to know that they are also facing lots of problems regarding the continuity of their education. Then the higher quality institution. Now this, when we are talking about higher quality institution, the research and innovative is the main prime focus of these institutions. So they are already like the IITians are there. So they are already equipped with all such type of the facilities which are required for continuing the education. But the another foundation course institution and the career post institutional level courses. So they have a really great impact of this closure, and the students they really and, they are really now out of the continuity of the education. So, keeping this point of view, the Ministry of Higher Education it has a major role to play, and they have actually arranged online learning arrangements from the ministry, and they emphasize on developing and sharing the material modules. Like sir told that the different modules it should be used because now we cannot say that we can stop the students from gaining the education. So we can share those materials by using the different type of the online. Now the TV platform is also there because the Doordarshan they have launched many of the courses that will help the students to be there in the stream of the education. So our coordination between the different strata of the education system it is there, and all of them they are all actually working very hard because at many of them they are not equipped with such sort of the facilities that is required in frontline of online teaching and learning process. So the impact of this pandemic it is there on the students also because we know that many of the graduates which are there. So that is the main year of their graduation, and severely they are affected by this COVID-19. And they have experienced, we also have experienced a major teaching interruption in the final part of their studies. So they are expecting major interruption in all the in the assessment. We are having a great impact on assessment of the students by whatever the earlier information that data that we have collected. So on that basis only we are going to evaluate the students. Then major global recession it is there now. Whenever these different type of the courses when we will put up, so the career point of view when we think regarding the students, so so just now we have seen that how the different sectors of education it has been interrupted during this COVID-19. So for this only the Ministry of Education in case of India, they have promoted different online. Just now we have seen that how different sectors of education it has been interrupted. has been shown. So due to this pandemic situation that we are facing, the impact will be there on the students also, because they have been interrupted in their regular teachings, and the final part of their studies, it has been disturbed. This interruption is major to the teachers also, because whatever process of assessment is there, so they also have to face a lots of problem in assisting the students. In is, that
ब्लॉक होतं
condition,
आपल्याला हे करतं हे जसं लाल करून ठेवलं तसं अजून इथे बॉक्स पण करतात
the different sort of the permanent effect on the
तुझं
career
बॉक्स होते ऑलरेडी तो मध्ये घुसून जातो ते व्हिडिओ
outbreak.
तेवढं बॉक्स तेवढं दुखतं
We
असं आहे का मग इकडं कसं काही इमेज तू काय म्हणतो इकडे कमी जादा होईल नाही नाही ती कमी जादा नाही होत तेवढंच बॉक्स आहे ना तिथं बॉक्स बनवून ठेवलेला आहे त्या बॉक्स मध्ये तेवढं अलाईन होतं ऑटोमॅटिक
permanent earning losses of their job in this scenario. So the universities, they have adapted the alternative and the simplified modes and method for examination to complete the process in shorter period of time. So UGC, they have put forth lots of the guidelines to all the universities in India, so that they can conduct the examination of the students and to evaluate the students for obtaining the different type of the grades. So they have put forth some, these are some of the things that has been output by the universities, and they have said that whatever the examination that you are going to conduct, so these examination, it should be, you may conduct online also, offline also. The duration of this examination period, it may be reduced from 3 hours, that is the regular 1 to 2 hours, and whatever value virtual human card row and different type of the applications that we can use now. So that is that thing we can use. Then practice whatever the offline education that we are imparting now, we can use a day-wise schedule for it, so that the home connectivity, the different type of the device, the teachers, and the interaction between the students by using the technology tools, they can bring out the different sort of methods of teaching, so that the students, they shouldn't discontinue from the process of the education. Next, prepare a step-by-step guideline on how to assess and use the online learning tools in the curricula. To create a plan for online learning. To establish a daily schedule, that to be clear when teachers and students need to log in. And again, there are many sort of the pre-post learning processes are there. So in this extreme condition, whatever the resources which is available with the students and the resources which is available with the teachers, they can come together and on the platform of this education online system, and they can interact with one another, so that we can assess the students' progression in all aspects. Then the strong and weak aspect of teaching both offline and online. So in this pandemic, this situation is significantly has shown very stronger and also a weaker aspect of teaching both online and offline. So many a time, just now only I have faced the problem of the internet facility. So the broadbands, it is not available in very remote areas. So how these students, they are going to gain their education? How they are going to connect to the mainstream of the education? So when we are talking at an Indian level and at a very remote area, so we cannot bring the uniformity of the online education resources. Though it is gaining lots of the popularity, but this again, the ministry and all the education stakeholders, the uh, institutional stakeholders, they should actually build up such an infrastructure for the students and the teachers, so that they can be easily accessible to all such type of the tools, and which will be really helpful for the online teaching processes. So whatever the difficulties the teachers and the students now they are facing. So such in future we do not face such sort of the uh, lacunae that we are there. So I'm coming to the conclusion that Indian education system will adapt the new innovative technologies and the teaching learning strategies to overcome the present COVID-19 pandemic situation. The impact of new technology in education context, it has been mostly positive, as new technologies has given educators the opportunity to enhance their knowledge, skills, and therefore it can enhance the standard of education through constructive type of the things. So I'm really thankful to my director, Professor Vasanthi Lavi Reddy, the head of the department, Professor Kishore Patil sir, all the faculty member of Government Cadaver Institute of Science and Humanities, Amravati, for their constant support and the guidance. And I'm really thankful for all the delegates who has given this patient hearing to my lecture. Thanks once again to Bhalerao Science College, Saoner, for giving me an opportunity to share a few words regarding the health and education, its impact during the pandemic. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your presentation. There are two questions. There are few questions. First question is from to avoid transmission of COVID, mainly touching to the patient or sprinkles of swab or inhalation of air in the hotspot area.
Ma'am, I can't hear you. Please repeat the question. Repeat the question, ma'am. Amita, ma'am, please repeat the question. I was not able to hear you. Dr. Amita Vatkar, ma'am, please repeat the question. I am not able to hear you. Yeah.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Now you are audible, ma'am. Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Please, the question, ma'am.
डोंगरे तुमचा आवाज येत नाहीये. Okay. So the first question, yes, ma'am. The first question is from Dr. Prashant Dabrase, sir.
Okay.
His question is how to avoid transmission of COVID, mainly touching to the patient or sprinkles of swab or inhalation of air in the hotspot area.
So first thing you have to use protective shield, and you have to use mask, and you have to use the different type of the sterilizers. Am I audible? Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
you can use a different type of the protective shields.
Yes.
You can use the mask, different type of sterilizers are there that we are using. Sanitizers are there. sanitizers. So whenever you're taking it, you should know that the completing it has
A different type of protective shields. Yes, yes. You can use the mask. Sterilizers and
virus that ends up it can be
should know.
Any other question, ma'am? Hello. Any other question, ma'am? Hello.
Yes, ma'am. One again question from Dr. Narnaware, sir.
Yes.
Any other question, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. His question is, in case of SARS, any other question, ma'am? His question is, in case of SARS, H1N1 and Ebola vaccine was developed within 2 to 3 months. Why it is taking so long to develop vaccine against COVID-19? Within 2 to 3 months. Why it is taking so long?
Know the process of vaccination. The vaccination up till now that we have seen that it takes a longer period. Here about 8 to 10 years it takes place to prepare a vaccination, because we have to examine and we have to undergo the different processes of the trials are there. Because when we are using it on human beings, so we have to make lots and lots of trials, and then only we can bring this vaccine to the common people. But in this pandemic situation, as an emergency is there, so many of the countries they are coming forth to say that we have prepared the different sort of vaccinations, and in at the end of this year we are going to bring it in the market for the benefit of the people, the common people. So let's hope so that these vaccination, those though they are on the trial basis, we are bringing them to the market, because we know the regular process of vaccination is uh, very lengthy one. But during this emergency period, whatever vaccination the different countries they are bringing on the basis of the trial, that can be used to stop the mortality rate, or we can reduce at least the mortality rate. But now I think so, as we have seen the mutation period of this virus, it has shown many of the changes. And I think now near about 70 to 80% of the people, those who are asymptomatic to this COVID-19, so they have already built up their immune system, and they have developed already the different type of the antibodies. So in future, I think so everyone will have those antibodies in their bodies, and they will definitely kill this virus at a larger scale. So this may happen at the end of the August, and maybe in September the immunity level of the different communities it will raise, and it may kill this virus, like we have seen the normal cold and influenza viruses. It has been actually mutant, and that's why the impact of that virus is not been seen in later stages of the population contamination. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Amita, ma'am. Any other question?
Hello.
Ah, yes.
Ma'am. One again question from Dr. Narnaware, sir. Yes, ma'am. Any other question? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. One again question from Dr. Narnaware, sir. His question is, how can you tell that low white blood cells in COVID-19 patients was due to coronavirus, or patient fearing anxiety of dying due to virus?
This studies it has been done on the dead bodies of the persons. So they have actually collected and the samples, from the dead bodies, because they have earlier they were not able to identify that what sort of the pathogen and what sort of the impact it is showing on the different aspect of the body. So due to the collection of these samples only, we are able to know the level of the leukocytes, the level of the NCPs, and the level of the CD4 and CDK. It has been declined after these patients. They have shown the disease. Yes, ma'am. Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Last question. Hello. Ma'am,
Yes.
last question from Mr. Rahul Patil from Bhalerao Science College, Saoner. His question is, as we know, women are more stronger than men, then why in this pandemic situation, there is more negative mental health impact? Hello. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
I would like to answer you to this question. See,
Mr. Rahul Patil from Bhalerao Science College, Saoner. His
they
question is,
everything. But at a time when family members are increased at home, so the different type of the hormones that is there, which actually help in bringing the stress down. So this another factors which are there. The childrens are there. The different family members are there. So they are every now and then asking the women to prepare this, that, and all the household work and the different type of the things she handled during this situation. So not only due to the pandemic, but due to the different sort of their family members, they are asking her to do. So that's why that might be the reason. And we are not doing any sort of the physical activity. We are staying at home. So whatever the hormones, which is the good one hormones that we say. So after doing the exercise or after doing some sort of the physical, like walk is there. So there, this might be the reason she herself is not able to pay attention to her own physic and her mental health, and that might be the reason for increase in the level of the stress. And this level of the stress is obviously the impact that is seen in case of the women, that is regarding to her mental health, sir. So if such condition is there at your home, it is my personal request to integrate in all household work.
okay, ma'am, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
No duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. Myself, Dr. Amita Vatkar, Assistant Professor in Zoology, on behalf of Department of Zoology, Bhalerao Science College, Saoner, would like to thank all the members of Management Committee of High School Society, Saoner, for permitting us to arrange this conference. I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Parag Nimishe sir, for all words of wisdom that radiated a source of energy within us. We will ever remain grateful to you, sir, and we thank you for being with us today. Heartfelt thanks goes out to all our teaching staff who always stand by us, guide us, lead us, and motivate us. We feel proud and thank you for making us feel happy with your presence to this event. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. The wheels start rolling months in advance. I have been fortunate enough to be backed by very motivated and dedicated head of the department, Professor Milind Barbate sir. I express my special gratitude for the involvement and willingness he completion of tasks beyond his comfort zone. Last but not the least, I thank all the participants for showing their interest in this event. I am happy to express vote of thanks to each and every person associated with this event who have made this conference a grand success. Thank you. Have a good day.